The Stoic Art of Agelessness, 7 Hidden Reasons You Look Younger Than Your Age. Have you ever been met with a look of disbelief when you mention your age? A pause, a slight tilt of the head, followed by the words, "No, really? I would have guessed you were so much younger." It is, on the surface, a simple compliment. We are conditioned to receive it as a pleasantry, a testament to good genes, a healthy lifestyle, or perhaps a diligent skincare regimen. We smile, say thank you, and move on. But what if this observation points to something far more profound? What if the vibrant energy you carry, the light in your eyes, the very lack of worry etched upon your face, is not a gift of chance, but a sign of a deep, inner state of being? What if looking younger is merely the external echo of a soul that has learned the art of tranquility in a world of chaos? The ancient Stoic philosophers, men like the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, the statesman Seneca, and the former slave Epictetus, were masters of the inner world. They dedicated their lives to a single, noble goal, achieving a state of unshakable serenity and moral virtue. They sought what they called eudaimonia, a flourishing, well-lived life. Central to this pursuit was the cultivation of apatheia, a term often misunderstood as cold indifference, but which truly means a state of mind free from the disturbance of volatile, irrational passions. It is not the absence of feeling, but the absence of being controlled by feeling. The Stoics understood a truth that modern science is only now beginning to quantify: the mind and body are not separate entities. The turmoil of the soul invariably carves itself into the body. Chronic stress, anxiety, anger, and regret are not just fleeting emotions, they are corrosive forces. They release hormones like cortisol that accelerate the aging process, breaking down the very cells of our body, dulling our skin, wearying our posture, and leaving their heavy mark upon our faces. Conversely, a mind that has been disciplined, a soul that has been fortified against the relentless waves of external events, radiates a different kind of energy. It emanates a calm strength, a quiet resilience that preserves vitality. This is the true Stoic fountain of youth. It isn't found in a mystical spring, but in the deliberate, daily practice of a philosophy built for endurance. Today, we will venture beyond the surface and explore the 7 foundational pillars of this Stoic mindset. These are the hidden reasons why you, or someone you know, might appear ageless. This is not an exploration of vanity. It is an investigation into virtue. We will see that looking young is the beautiful byproduct of a life lived with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. It is the reflection of a soul that has built its own inner citadel, a fortress of reason and peace that time itself struggles to breach. So, if you have ever been told you don't look your age, pay close attention. You may be, perhaps without even realizing it, living the life of a Stoic. And if you have not, then listen even more closely, for the secrets to a truly ageless spirit are waiting to be uncovered. Section 1, The Fortress of the Mind, Your Indomitable Spirit. There is a powerful and aging poison to which modern life exposes us all, relentlessly and without mercy. It is the poison of stress. Not the acute stress of a lion chasing our ancestors on the savannah, but a chronic, low-grade, psychological stress. The drip, drip, drip of deadlines, notifications, political turmoil, financial anxieties, and the perceived judgments of others. This endless cascade of concerns wears us down. It floods our system with cortisol, inflames our bodies, and accelerates the decay of our cells. It is the rust of the soul, and its effects are written plainly on the faces of those who carry its weight. You see it in the furrowed brow, the tired eyes, the tight jaw, the premature graying of hair. And yet, some individuals seem immune. They walk through the same storms, face the same pressures, but they remain curiously untouched. They possess a spirit that will not break, a calm that cannot be shaken. This is not because their lives are free of hardship, but because they have unconsciously or deliberately mastered the first and most fundamental principle of Stoic philosophy, the dichotomy of control. The formerly enslaved philosopher Epictetus laid out this principle with stark and liberating clarity in the opening of his Enchiridion, or handbook. He stated, "Some things are in our control and others not. Things in our control are opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever are our own actions. Things not in our control are body, property, reputation, command, and, in one word, whatever are not our own actions. This is perhaps the most practical and powerful piece of wisdom ever committed to paper. Most human suffering, and the stress that flows from it, arises from a fundamental confusion between these two categories. We try desperately to control what we cannot: the economy, the weather, the traffic, what other people think of us, whether they will love us, whether they will betray us. We stake our inner peace on outcomes that are, and will always be, outside of our sovereign command. In doing so, we sentence ourselves to a life of anxiety and frustration. We become fragile, brittle, aged by the friction of resisting reality. The person who looks younger than their age has, in some essential way, stopped fighting this futile war. They have learned to pour their energy not into changing the world, but into mastering their response to it. They have built a fortress inside their mind, an inner citadel, as Marcus Aurelius called it, where the chaos of the external world cannot find purchase. Imagine two people receiving the same piece of news: their company is downsizing, and their job is at risk. The first person, who has not mastered the dichotomy of control, immediately spirals into panic. Their mind is flooded with externals: what if I get laid off? How will I pay my bills? What will people think of me? This is a catastrophe. Their body responds in kind. Their heart races, their breathing becomes shallow, and a wave of aging cortisol floods their system. They spend sleepless nights worrying, their face etched with fear. The second person, who lives by the Stoic principle, has a radically different response. They receive the same news, and they acknowledge the seriousness of the situation. They do not deny the potential for hardship. But they immediately make a distinction. The company's decision, they think, is not in my control. The economy is not in my control. Whether I am chosen to be laid off is not in my control. But my response is in my control. How I prepare is in my control. My character in this moment is in my control. They channel their energy away from powerless worry and into virtuous action. They update their resume. They reach out to their network. They reevaluate their budget. They face the uncertainty with courage and equanimity, not because they are fearless, but because they have placed their focus on the only domain where they are truly sovereign, their own will. Their body, free from the biochemical assault of chronic stress, reflects this inner order. They sleep soundly. They meet the challenge with a clear mind and a steady hand. They are not worn down by the event, they are refined by it. This is the indomitable spirit that preserves youth. It is the deep, cellular understanding that while you cannot command the winds and the waves, you are the captain of your own soul. The Stoic does not pray for a lighter burden, but for broader shoulders. This strength, this resilience, cultivates a profound sense of peace. It is a peace that smooths the brow, brightens the eyes, and allows the spirit to inhabit the body with a light and vibrant energy. Here is a practical exercise to begin cultivating this fortress of the mind. Each morning, take a few moments to perform what the Stoics called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of adversity. Think about the day ahead and consider what challenges might arise. A difficult colleague, a frustrating commute, a piece of bad news. Then, for each potential event, explicitly separate what is in your control from what is not. My colleague's mood is not in my control, but my patience and professionalism are. The traffic is not in my control, but the podcast I listen to and my refusal to get angry are. By doing this, you are not being pessimistic, you are being proactive. You are vaccinating your mind against the shocks of life. You are training yourself, day by day, to reside in the calm center of your inner citadel, observing the world without being consumed by it. This is the art of Stoic resilience, and it is the first and most powerful secret to a truly ageless spirit. Section 2, The River of Life. You embrace change with amor fati. Consider the two forces that most relentlessly age the human spirit: regret for the past and anxiety for the future. One pulls us backward into a world we cannot change, the other pushes us forward into a world we cannot predict. Both are forms of resistance, a grinding friction against the nature of reality. This resistance generates immense psychological heat, stress, frustration, bitterness, that wears down the soul and, in turn, the body. It is the mindset of, if only, and, what if, and it is profoundly aging. Now, consider the person who seems to flow through life with a sense of ease and grace. They are not immune to setbacks, to loss, to unexpected turns of fate. Yet, they do not seem burdened by them. They have an adaptability, a flexibility of spirit, that allows them to bend without breaking. They look youthful because they are not wasting their life force in a futile struggle against the current of time. They have embraced the second great pillar of Stoic agelessness, amor fati, the love of one's fate. The phrase, coined by the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche centuries later, perfectly captures a core Stoic ideal. It is the practice of not merely accepting what happens, but loving it, seeing it as necessary, and even welcoming it as a part of the grand, interconnected tapestry of existence. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, expressed this beautifully: all that is in accord with you is in accord with me, O universe. Nothing which occurs at the right time for you is too early or too late for me. All that your seasons produce, O nature, is fruit for me. To the Stoic, the universe is a single, rational organism, governed by a divine logic or logos. Everything that happens, from the falling of a leaf to the fall of an empire, is a necessary and integral part of this cosmic order. To wish for things to be different is to wish for the universe to be other than it is, an act of profound arrogance and futility. It is like a single note in a symphony wishing it were played at a different time, not understanding its vital role in the harmony of the whole. The person who has internalized this perspective stops seeing life's events as personal attacks. The lost promotion, the ended relationship, the unexpected illness, these are not punishments. They are simply what is. They are the threads that fate has woven into the fabric of your specific life. The practice of amor fati is to say to the universe, whatever you send my way, I will not only bear it, I will embrace it. I will find the good in it. I will use it. Let's return to our example of the person whose job is at risk. The one who resists reality is tormented by it. This shouldn't be happening to me. It's unfair. Their fight against the inevitable creates deep grooves of stress and bitterness. The practitioner of amor fati has a different internal monologue. They might initially feel disappointment, a natural first response. But their trained reason quickly intervenes. This is happening, they affirm. This is my path, now. What can I learn from this? What opportunity does this create? Perhaps this is the push I needed to leave a job that was no longer fulfilling. Perhaps this will teach me resilience. Perhaps this will lead me to something better. This event is not an obstacle on my path, this event is my path. This is not blind optimism. It is strategic acceptance. It is the art of turning what seems to be a stumbling block into a stepping stone. Seneca famously wrote, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." The Stoic sees every closed door not as a finality, but as a redirection. This mindset is incredibly liberating. It frees you from the exhausting and aging burden of what could have been. It anchors you firmly in the power of what is, and what I can make of it. This flexibility of mind is reflected in the body. A person who practices amor fati is less tense. Their muscles are not locked in a constant battle with reality. Their face is not a mask of resentment. They move through the world with a lightness, an adaptability that is inherently youthful. They embody the wisdom of the ancient Greek philosopher Heraclitus, who heavily influenced the Stoics. The only constant in life is change. They do not build a dam to stop the river of life, they build a raft and learn to navigate it with skill. This love of fate is one of the most challenging, yet most rewarding, of all Stoic disciplines. It is the antidote to bitterness, the cure for regret. It is a declaration of partnership with the universe itself. To cultivate amor fati in your own life, begin with small acts of acceptance. When you are stuck in traffic, instead of fuming, say to yourself, "This is my fate for the next 20 minutes. I will love it. I will use this time to listen to a chapter of my audiobook, to call a friend, to simply breathe." When it rains on a day you had planned for the park, embrace the change. This is a day for reading, for a museum, for quiet reflection. I love this rainy day. By practicing with these small, daily frustrations, you train your soul for the larger challenges. You learn to stop resisting and start flowing. You learn to find the good in what is given. This is the path to a serene and resilient heart, and it is a path that leads away from the premature aging of a spirit at war with itself. It is the path to a life where you can truly say, with a calm and youthful heart, "I want nothing more than what I have." Section 3, The Unquenchable Fire, Your Relentless Pursuit of Wisdom. There is a subtle aging that occurs not in the skin, but in the mind. It is a creeping stiffness, a settling into intellectual comfort. It happens when we believe we know enough, when our opinions solidify into dogma, and when curiosity gives way to certainty. A mind that has stopped learning, stopped questioning, stopped growing, is a mind that has begun to grow old, regardless of the body's chronological age. This mental stagnation radiates outward, creating a sense of staleness, of being stuck, that is the very opposite of youthful vitality. The person who appears ageless, whose energy is vibrant and whose eyes are bright with engagement, is almost always a person whose mind is on fire. They are driven by an unquenchable thirst for knowledge and understanding. This is not the mere accumulation of facts or idle curiosity. It is the third great pillar of Stoic agelessness, the relentless pursuit of Sophia, or wisdom. For the Stoics, wisdom was the chief of the four virtues, the one from which all others, courage, justice, and temperance, flowed. It was the lifelong, active pursuit of understanding the nature of reality, of ethics, of logic, and of the human soul, all for the intensely practical purpose of living a good and flourishing life. Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism, began his philosophical journey only after losing everything in a shipwreck. He washed up in Athens, wandered into a bookshop, and became so captivated by the writings of Socrates that he dedicated the rest of his life to the pursuit of wisdom. He taught his students in the Stoa Poikile, the painted porch, from which the philosophy gets its name. For him, philosophy was not an academic exercise, it was a way of life, a medicine for the soul. A mind engaged in this noble pursuit is a mind that cannot grow old. Every day presents a new opportunity for learning. Every conversation is a chance to refine one's understanding. Every book is a dialogue with the great minds of the past. Every mistake is not a failure, but a data point, a lesson in what does not work. This active, engaged state of mind keeps the neural pathways supple and strong. It floods the brain with the same neurotransmitters associated with excitement and discovery that we experience in youth. Seneca, even in his old age while advising the Emperor Nero, was a fierce advocate for lifelong learning. He wrote, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." He saw the study of philosophy not as a pastime, but as the essential work of a human being. He argued that while others waste their lives on trivial pursuits, the student of wisdom annexes the past, making the lives and thoughts of all the great thinkers their own. "We are not shut up in a single lifetime," he declared. "We have access to all the ages." This perspective bestows a kind of timelessness upon the soul. A person who is in constant dialogue with Plato, with Zeno, with Marcus Aurelius, is a person who transcends the narrow confines of their own era. Their mind is a vast and vibrant landscape, not a small, dusty room of settled opinions. This inner richness and vitality inevitably shine through. They are interesting because they are interested. They are engaging because they are engaged. They are youthful because their mind has never been allowed to retire. Contrast this with the person whose learning ended with their formal education. Their world shrinks. Their conversations become repetitive, circling around the same few topics. They become resistant to new ideas because new ideas threaten the comfortable stability of their worldview. This mental rigidity is a form of aging, and it projects an energy of tiredness and disengagement. The ageless individual, on the other hand, embraces intellectual challenge. They seek out opinions that differ from their own, not to argue, but to understand. They read widely, outside of their own field. They ask questions. They are humble enough to admit what they do not know, which is the very gateway to learning more. This intellectual humility and active curiosity create an aura of openness and potential that is profoundly youthful. How can you ignite this unquenchable fire of wisdom in your own life? The Stoics would offer intensely practical advice. First, dedicate a portion of your day, even if it is just 15 minutes, to deliberate reading. Do not read for mere entertainment or escape, but to learn. Read the great works of philosophy, history, and literature. Read the primary texts of the Stoics themselves, Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, Seneca's Letters from a Stoic, Epictetus's Discourses. Second, practice active reflection. Do not let what you read simply wash over you. Engage with it. Keep a journal, as Marcus Aurelius did. Write down the quotes that resonate with you. Ask yourself, how does this apply to my life? How can this idea help me become a better person? This practice transforms passive information into active wisdom. Finally, engage in thoughtful conversation. Seek out friends or mentors with whom you can discuss these ideas. As Seneca noted, by teaching, we learn. Explaining a concept to someone else is the surest way to solidify it in your own mind. By adopting these practices, you are not just acquiring knowledge. You are cultivating the virtue of wisdom. You are joining a great conversation that has spanned millennia. You are keeping your mind sharp, supple, and alive. And a mind that is truly alive will always radiate the unmistakable energy of youth. Section 4, The Inner Citadel, You Master Your Impressions. There is a pervasive idea in modern self-help culture that emotional health comes from radical, unfiltered expression. Feel your feelings, speak your truth, let it all out. While well-intentioned, this advice can be a trap. It can lead to a life of emotional volatility, where we become slaves to every passing mood, every perceived slight, every surge of anger or anxiety. A life lived at the mercy of our passions is an exhausting, chaotic, and deeply aging life. The constant storms of emotion weather the soul and the body, leaving behind the lines of worry, the tension of anger, and the weariness of chronic sadness. The Stoics offered a radically different, and far more powerful, path to emotional equilibrium. They did not advocate for suppressing emotion, but for dissecting it with the sharp scalpel of reason. This is the fourth, and perhaps most transformative, pillar of Stoic agelessness: you master your impressions, you do not let them master you. Epictetus provided the ultimate key to this practice when he taught, men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. This is a seismic shift in perspective. The event itself, the insult, the traffic jam, the rejection, is neutral. It has no inherent power to harm you. The harm, the disturbance, the emotional turmoil, comes entirely from the judgment you attach to that event. It is the story you tell yourself about what happened that creates the suffering. The Stoics called these initial flashes of judgment impressions, phantasiae. An impression might be, my boss criticized my work in front of the team, this is terrible and humiliating. This is not an objective fact. It is a narrative. The objective fact is simply, my boss spoke certain words about my work in the presence of others. The rest, terrible, humiliating, is an opinion you have added. And it is this added opinion that triggers the cascade of painful emotions. The person who looks ageless has cultivated the ability to create a space between the external event and their internal response. They have learned to halt their impressions at the gate of their mind and examine them before granting them entry. They practice what Epictetus commanded, practice then from the start to say to every harsh impression, you are an impression, and not at all the thing you appear to be. Imagine this practice in action. Someone cuts you off in traffic. The untrained mind immediately forms the impression, that jerk. He disrespected me. This is infuriating. The passion of anger is ignited, your blood pressure rises, and your body is flooded with aging stress hormones. The Stoic in training experiences the same initial event. But they catch the impression at the gate. They pause. They analyze it. An impression has appeared, they think. That person has disrespected me. Let me examine this. The driver's action is an external. It is not in my control. Their reasons are unknown to me. Perhaps they are rushing to the hospital. Perhaps they are simply a poor driver. Their action has no power to diminish my character unless I consent to it. The judgment that this is infuriating is my own addition. I can choose not to add it. I can choose to let it go. In that moment of rational analysis, the passion is disarmed before it can ignite. The emotional storm is averted. The body remains in a state of calm. This is not suppression, it is a high form of mental clarity. It is the practice that leads to apatheia, that unshakable tranquility that is the hallmark of the Stoic sage. A person who lives this way is profoundly difficult to disturb. They possess a quiet confidence and a serene countenance because they are not being perpetually battered by their own emotional reactions. They do not carry the accumulated tension of 1,000 past angers or 1,000 future worries. Their face is a reflection of a well-ordered soul. It is smooth and open because it is not contorted by the chronic passions of fear, anger, jealousy, or despair. This is the very definition of the inner citadel. It is a fortress of reason you build within yourself, from which you can observe the world with clarity and calm, no matter how chaotic it becomes. This is a skill, and like any skill, it requires diligent practice. Begin your training today with this simple but powerful exercise. Throughout your day, pay close attention to your emotional reactions. When you feel a flash of anger, anxiety, or frustration, pause. Do not act on it. Instead, narrate it to yourself as a Stoic would. An impression has arisen that my friend's late reply is a sign of disrespect. This is just an impression, not the thing itself. Their reason for replying late is an external, unknown to me. I will not assent to the judgment that this is a personal slight. I will choose to remain calm. At first, this will feel artificial. You will still feel the emotion. But with consistent practice, you will widen the gap between stimulus and response. You will become the calm gatekeeper of your own mind, examining each impression and deciding which ones are worthy of belief. This is the path to true emotional freedom. It is the art of mastering your inner world, and it is a mastery that will grant you a peace so profound that it will radiate from you like the gentle and timeless light of youth. Section 5. The Virtuous Circle. You curate your moral environment. We are social creatures, porous and permeable to the influence of those around us. We absorb their moods, their attitudes, their values, often without conscious awareness. A day spent with a cynical and complaining person can leave us feeling drained and pessimistic. A conversation with an ambitious and inspiring friend can ignite our own potential. The energy of our environment is not neutral, it is either elevating us or degrading us. It is either nourishing our vitality or slowly aging us with the toxins of negativity, envy, and despair. The person who appears ageless and vibrant often has a secret weapon: they are masters of curation. They do not leave their social and moral environment to chance. They understand that to cultivate a virtuous and flourishing inner life, they must surround themselves with people who reflect and encourage that very virtue. This is the fifth pillar of Stoic agelessness: you intentionally curate your moral environment. Seneca wrote extensively on this topic in his letters to his friend Lucilius. He warned, with stark urgency, about the dangers of the crowd. There is nothing so ruinous to the character as sitting away one's time at a show, he wrote, referring to the brutal gladiatorial games. For then it is that vice steals subtly upon one through the avenue of pleasure. He argued that the mob is a powerful force for moral corruption. It lowers our standards, inflames our baser instincts, and makes us forget our better selves. To consort with the crowd is harmful, he concluded. There is no person who does not make some vice attractive to us, or stamp it upon us, or taint us unconsciously therewith. His advice was not to become a hermit, but to be fiercely selective about one's company. Associate with those who will make a better man of you, he urged. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve. The process is mutual, for men learn while they teach. This is a move from the passive idea of surrounding yourself with positive energy, to the active, Stoic practice of choosing company that helps you cultivate virtue. The goal is not simply to feel good, but to be good. The ageless person understands this distinction. They are drawn to people of character, integrity, and wisdom. They seek out mentors who challenge them, friends who hold them accountable, and companions who are also engaged in the project of self-improvement. This creates a virtuous circle. When you are surrounded by people who are resilient, who practice the dichotomy of control, who pursue wisdom, you are constantly reminded of your own highest potential. Their example lifts you up. Their conversation sharpens your mind. Their character reinforces your own. This environment is a powerful antidote to the aging effects of cynicism, pettiness, and drama. It is an incubator for a youthful, striving, and ever-growing spirit. Contrast this with a person who is trapped in toxic relationships. Their energy is constantly being siphoned off to manage the drama of a needy friend, to endure the criticism of a negative family member, or to compete in the petty games of an envious colleague. This constant exposure to vice and negativity is exhausting. It is a form of chronic stress that ages the soul and the body. It fosters a worldview of suspicion and weariness, which inevitably shows on one's face. The Stoic curator, on the other hand, protects their peace and their moral purpose with the vigilance of a sentinel. This may sometimes require difficult choices. It may mean spending less time with old friends who have chosen a path of stagnation. It may mean setting firm boundaries with family members who are perpetually negative. It may mean leaving a workplace whose culture is toxic. These are not acts of cruelty, but acts of profound self-respect. As Epictetus advised, you must recognize that if you consort with a person covered in soot, you can hardly avoid getting a little soot on yourself. How can you begin to curate your own moral environment? Start with an audit. Take a piece of paper and list the 5 people with whom you spend the most time. Next to each name, write down how you feel after interacting with them, energized or drained, inspired or diminished, calmer or more agitated. This simple exercise will give you a clear map of your current social ecosystem. Next, take one small, deliberate action. Identify one person in your life who embodies the virtues you wish to cultivate. Make a specific plan to spend more time with them. Invite them for coffee. Ask for their advice on a book to read. Make yourself a student of their good character. Simultaneously, identify one relationship that consistently drains you. You do not need to cut this person out of your life entirely, but you can choose to put a boundary around your time with them. Decide to limit your interactions, or to consciously refuse to get drawn into their cycles of negativity. This is not about judging others. It is about taking responsibility for your own character. By choosing your company wisely, you are creating an environment where your best self can thrive. You are building a support system for your inner citadel. This is a profound act of self-care, and it is a key strategy for cultivating a spirit so nourished and vibrant that it remains untouched by the passing years. Section 6, The North Star. You live with passion and in accordance with nature. Observe the people around you. Many live lives of quiet desperation, going through the motions, meeting obligations, but lacking a certain spark. Their energy is muted, their posture heavy. They seem tired not from a hard day's work, but from a lifetime of it. They are aged not by years, but by a lack of meaning. Their existence lacks a why, a north star to guide them through the darkness. Then there are others who seem to possess an inner engine that never runs out of fuel. They have a passion, a purpose, a mission that animates their every action. It could be their art, their family, their community, their life's work. Whatever it is, it gives them a reason to leap out of bed in the morning. This sense of purpose is an incredible source of vitality. It is a psychological elixir of youth. This is the sixth pillar of Stoic agelessness: you live with a profound sense of purpose, in accordance with your nature. For the Stoics, the ultimate purpose of life, the very definition of eudaimonia, was to live in accordance with nature. This did not mean returning to a primitive state. It meant living in harmony with the two fundamental aspects of our human nature, that we are rational and that we are social creatures. Therefore, our highest purpose is to use our reason to live virtuously and to act for the common good of our fellow human beings. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself of this purpose every single morning. In Meditations, he wrote a note to himself for when he felt lazy and unwilling to get out of bed. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, "I have to go to work, as a human being. What do I have to complain of, if I'm going to do what I was born for, the things I was brought into the world to do? Or is this what I was created for? To huddle under the blankets and stay warm?" This is not the voice of a drill sergeant. It is the voice of a man reminding himself of his profound purpose. He was not just an emperor, he was a human being, and a human being's work is to be rational, to be just, to be of service. This sense of duty, of purpose, was his fuel. It is what enabled him to bear the immense weight of the Roman Empire with grace and fortitude. A life without purpose is a ship without a rudder, tossed about by the waves of whim and circumstance. It is a life prone to boredom, apathy, and the existential dread that quietly corrodes the spirit. This inner emptiness manifests externally as a lack of vitality, a dullness in the eyes, a premature aging of the soul. A life with purpose, however, is a life of directed energy. Your purpose acts as a filter for your decisions. It helps you distinguish between the trivial and the essential. It gives you a reason to endure hardship, to overcome obstacles, to keep going when you feel tired. When you are working towards something you deeply believe in, the work itself becomes energizing rather than draining. This purpose does not need to be grandiose. You do not need to be a Roman emperor or a world-changing inventor. As we saw in the previous section on curating one's environment, purpose can be found in the most humble of roles. The hospital custodian who sees their purpose not as cleaning floors, but as contributing to a healing environment for the sick. The teacher who sees their purpose not as imparting information, but as shaping the character of the next generation. The parent who sees their purpose in raising a virtuous and resilient child. Passion and purpose are what keep the soul supple. They are the enemies of stagnation. They compel you to learn, to grow, to adapt. A person with a clear why can bear almost any how. This resilience, this deep well of motivation, keeps them psychologically and spiritually young. They are too busy living to grow old. Finding your purpose is one of life's most essential tasks. The Stoics would guide you not with abstract questions, but with practical reflection. First, ask yourself the question posed by the famous mythologist Joseph Campbell: what is your bliss? What activity makes you lose track of time? What do you do where you feel most authentically and powerfully yourself? This is often a clue to your unique talents and passions. Second, reframe the question from, "What do I want from the world?" to, "What does the world need that I can offer?" A Stoic purpose is always connected to the common good. How can your unique bliss, your unique talents, be of service to others? The intersection of what you love to do and what the world needs is often where your true purpose resides. Finally, once you have an inkling of your purpose, begin to live it, even in the smallest of ways. You don't need to quit your job and change your entire life overnight. As Thomas, the documentary-making logistics worker showed us, you can start by laying one brick at a time. Dedicate 1 hour a week to your purpose. Let that small action begin to build momentum. When you live with purpose, you are aligned with your truest self. You are living in accordance with your nature. This alignment creates a harmony, a lack of inner friction, that is profoundly peaceful and deeply vitalizing. It is the North Star that will guide you through life with an energy and a light that years cannot dim. Section 7, The Eternal Present. You let go of what you cannot control. We have come to the final pillar, the one that ties all the others together. It is the practice that dissolves regret, diffuses anxiety, and anchors the soul in the only time that truly exists, the present moment. A life lived in the past is a life of ghosts and shadows. A life lived in the future is a life of phantoms and fears. Both are draining illusions that rob us of our vitality and accelerate our aging. The person who looks young, who is fully present and alive, has mastered the art of inhabiting the now. This is the seventh pillar of Stoic agelessness. You focus on the eternal present, empowered by the wisdom of memento mori. Memento mori, remember you must die, is not a morbid or depressing mantra. For the Stoics, it was the most life-affirming of all practices. It was a tool of liberation. The constant, sober awareness of our own mortality is what gives life its urgency, its preciousness, its meaning. If you knew that today could be your last, would you waste it stewing in resentment over a past insult? Would you squander it in anxious worry about a future that may never arrive? Of course not. You would live it with focus, with gratitude, with love, and with courage. Marcus Aurelius used this practice relentlessly to pull his mind back to the present. He wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This is the ultimate antidote to procrastination and triviality. It strips away the non-essential and focuses the mind with laser-like clarity on what truly matters. Regret is one of the most aging emotions. It is the heavy anchor of the past that we drag through the present. The Stoic understands that the past is the ultimate external. It is entirely outside of our control. To waste the present moment, which is in our control, grieving over a past that is not, is the height of irrationality. Memento mori helps us to let go. Why carry the burden of an old grudge to your deathbed? Why waste your final hours replaying an old mistake? Forgive others, forgive yourself, and move on. The clock is ticking. Anxiety is regret's twin, directed toward the future. It is the energy we waste trying to control and predict outcomes that are fundamentally uncertain. The Stoic, armed with the dichotomy of control and amor fati, knows that the future, like the past, is not in their domain. Their only concern is acting virtuously in this present moment. As Seneca wrote, true happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future. The practice of memento mori frees us from both of these burdens. It is a call to presence. It urges us to give our full attention to the task at hand, to the person in front of us, to the beauty of this fleeting moment. A person who is truly present is a person who is truly alive. Their senses are sharp, their mind is clear, their energy is focused. They are not deluded by the ghosts of yesterday or the phantoms of tomorrow. This state of radical presence is inherently youthful. It is the energy of a child discovering the world for the first time, an energy that we lose as we become entangled in the illusions of past and future. Think of the simple act of drinking a cup of tea. The anxious mind is thinking about the 10 emails it needs to answer. The regretful mind is replaying an argument from yesterday. But the present mind, the Stoic mind, is simply drinking the tea. It feels the warmth of the cup, tastes the flavor on the tongue, smells the aroma. It is fully there. This is a small act of mindfulness, but it is a microcosm of a life lived well. To bring the power of memento mori into your life, you do not need to dwell on death. You need only use it as a lens to appreciate life. Start your day by reflecting on the preciousness of the day ahead. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, when you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. Throughout your day, when you find your mind drifting into regret or anxiety, gently pull it back with this question: if this were my last day on earth, is this how I would choose to spend my energy? The question itself is often enough to dissolve the trivial worry or the pointless resentment. End your day with a reflection on your mortality. Not to induce fear, but gratitude. You were granted another day. Did you use it well? Did you live with virtue? This practice fosters a deep appreciation for the gift of time and motivates you to live each day more fully than the last. A soul that lives in the present, unburdened by the weight of the past and the fear of the future, is a free soul. And a free soul inhabits the body with a lightness, a grace, and a vitality that defies the simple arithmetic of years. It is the final and most profound secret of the Stoic art of agelessness. Conclusion. We have journeyed together through the 7 hidden landscapes of the Stoic soul, uncovering the deep philosophical roots of a seemingly superficial observation, that some people simply look younger than their years. We have discovered that this is no accident of birth, but the likely result of a life lived with profound inner strength and tranquility. We have seen how an indomitable spirit, fortified by the dichotomy of control, shields the body from the aging poison of stress. We have learned how embracing change with a more fatty allows one to flow with the river of life, avoiding the friction of resistance that wears us down. We have been reminded that a mind kept sharp and vibrant by the relentless pursuit of wisdom cannot grow stagnant or old. We have corrected the modern misconception of emotional expression, learning instead the Stoic art of mastering our impressions to build a serene inner citadel. We have understood the importance of curating our moral environment, creating a virtuous circle that nourishes our character. We have found that a life animated by a deep sense of purpose, lived in accordance with our rational and social nature, is a life of endless vitality. And finally, we have embraced the ultimate liberation of living in the eternal present, made precious and urgent by the wisdom of memento mori. These are not 7 disparate life hacks. They are 7 interconnected pillars of a single, coherent, and powerful way of life. They are the architecture of a resilient soul. The youthful appearance we observe in those who live this way is not the goal of Stoicism, but it is a beautiful and telling byproduct. It is the outward reflection of an inner order, the physical manifestation of a mind at peace. Your life is your one great work of art. The Stoics have given you the tools, the chisel of reason, the hammer of will, the polish of virtue. The marble is you. You have the power to carve away the excess, the non-essential, the parts that are not truly you, and reveal the masterpiece within. Begin today. Choose one of these pillars. Just one. Perhaps you will practice the dichotomy of control with a single frustrating event. Perhaps you will spend 15 minutes reading a page of Seneca. Perhaps you will simply pause before you react. This is how the journey begins. Not with a grand gesture, but with a small, deliberate, and virtuous choice. Live with the wisdom that you are the master of your inner world. Live with the peace that comes from accepting what you cannot change. Live with the vitality of a soul on fire with purpose. And you may find that you have not only built an unbreakable spirit, but that you have also discovered the true secret to a life of timeless grace. If this journey into Stoic wisdom has resonated with you, if it has stirred something within you, we ask that you help us share this philosophy with others who may need it. Like this video to signal its value, and subscribe to Be Audio for more deep dives into the art of living a resilient and meaningful life. And now, we turn the conversation to you. In the comments below, please share your story. Have you ever been told you look younger than your age? Which of these 7 Stoic pillars do you feel you are already living, perhaps without even knowing it? Your experiences are a vital part of our shared pursuit of wisdom. Thank you for your time and your attention. Continue to walk the path of virtue. We will see you in the next video.